Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
I believe that God created the universe.
Whatever we once were, we are no longer a Christian nation.
The Christian community, of which I'm a part.
September 11th, ground zero, and suddenly the streets were full of sirens and there was fire in the sky. Terrorism, September 11th. Osama bin Laden declared war in America. September 11th, terrorists, a walking, talking weapon of mass destruction.
President Bush signed legislation today creating an independent commission to investigate the September 11th attack on America.
September 11th, men armed with knives, armed with chemical, biological, or even nuclear weapons. The fanatics who terrorist killers September 11th, terrorists of Al-Qaeda, terrorists, Taliban, nuclear weapons.
The president named a supporter, Dr. Henry Kissinger, Secretary of State in the Nixon and Ford administrations, to head the panel.
He has a penchant for secrecy. Former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger stepped down from the position Friday.
So this is Officer Wesley Cheeks Jr.
Yes, sir.
And he's saying that my thing here is, what are you saying it is?
I'm saying it can't be up on school board property.
Why not?
Because I just told you couldn't be.
Why can it not be?
Sir, it can't be up.
Why can it not be?
It just can't be up.
Did you take an oath to follow the Constitution?
Yes, I did. If I told you once to take it down and you put it back up, then I can charge you whatever I want to charge you with, okay? So I'm telling you.
So you make the law too?
Put the picture down, sir. Thank you.
This is America. This used to be America.
It ain't no more, okay?
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Think of what happened 20 minutes ago in the United States Senate. We killed the Patriot Act.
So they put the Patriot Act in, they brought it in late at night. Most members hadn't even read it. I'm a Patriot, you're a Patriot, well, okay, we'll vote for it.
That is, if you are on the no-fly list because you are known as maybe a possible terrorist, you cannot buy a handgun in America.
Now the government's looking at a program called Total Information Awareness, which includes color coding everyone here who would want to travel by air and assigning a different risk factor. What are we doing to ourselves? I mean, we're creating enemies of all of our people.
Provisions in the measure would have expired this past week without Obama's signature. The act, which was adopted in the weeks after the events of September 11, 2001, expands the government's ability to spy on Americans in the name of national security.
We're not prosecuting them for past crimes, but we need to keep them in prison because of our expectation of their future crimes.
A number of people who cannot be prosecuted for past crimes. In some cases because evidence may be tainted, but who nonetheless pose a threat to the security of the United States.
Prevent it. We will incarcerate people preventively. Preventive incarceration for many years, but we were able to hold it off with George Bush. The idea that we might find ourselves fighting with the Obama administration over these powers is really stunning.
Do you think it's fair to send people to jail for not buying health insurance?
Well, the point is that we want to make sure that everyone has access to health care.
I happened to be in Europe then on my way to Russia. I was invited to go to Bilderberg by Bernard Jordan, a friend of mine and a genuine hero of the civil rights movement. And to the best of my knowledge, NAFTA was not discussed by anybody in my presence. I was talking to people who happened to be from Europe who did not give a rip about NAFTA. Number one. Number two, I tried to get labor and environmental standards in that agreement, but I couldn't because it was all negotiated when I got there. Because it was all negotiated when I got there. Because it was all negotiated when I got there.
And Bill Clinton orchestrated that takeover. And in fact was so ashamed about what he did in Waco that he was not going to appoint Janet Reno to a second 4-year term. And she told him in a meeting right before the inauguration day for his new term that if you don't appoint me, I'm going to tell the truth about Waco.
September 11th, terrorism, September 11th. Terrorism, terrorists, September 11th.
Madam Speaker, where specifically does the Constitution grant Congress the authority to enact an individual health insurance mandate?
Are you serious? Are you serious?
This being tax day and all, there's a group, thousands of Americans across the country that are having a tax and tea party today, saying that we're taxing and spending our way into oblivion.
This initiative is funded by the high end. We call it AstroTurf. It's not really a grassroots movement. It's AstroTurf by some of the wealthiest people in America.
Do you think the U.S. or UN forces should have moved into Baghdad?
Was how many additional dead Americans is Saddam worth? Our judgment was not very many, and I think we got it right.
2/3 of Americans say it's not worth fighting.
So?
So you don't care what the American people think?
No, I think you cannot be blown off course.
You've been struck by a smooth criminal.
Terrorism. September the 11th. Terror. Weapons of mass destruction. September the 11th. September the 11th. Terrorists. Evil terrorists. Terrorists. The terrorists, no. Terrorists.
Terror. September 11th. Threat. Tyranny. Terrorist tyranny. Tyranny. People hate us. Terror.
And the transforming of the country the way the president had promised. This is what he ran on.
Some would argue to socialism.
Well, first of all, then we'd have to say that the American public overwhelmingly voted for socialism when they elected President Obama.
My administration has begun to reshape the standards that apply.
A treaty signed by President Clinton in 1997 was never ratified by the Senate. It calls for the institution of a regime of gun control never before seen in the United States, creating a gun registration system that would be open to international sharing.
There was a relationship between Iraq and Al-Qaeda.
It's, one of the hardest parts of my job is to connect Iraq to the war on terror.
Who had relations with Zarqawi. Imagine what the world would be like with him in power. The idea is to try to help change the Middle East.
We've learned that Iraq has trained Al-Qaeda members in bomb making and poisons. He's a threat because he is dealing with Al-Qaeda. We know that Iraq and Al-Qaeda have had high-level contacts that go back a decade. The war on terror is, you can't distinguish between Al-Qaeda and Saddam when you talk about the war on terror.
What did Iraq have to do with what? The attack on the World Trade Center. Nothing.
Large segments of our citizens believe that the United Nations is taking over whole blocks of counties in Kentucky and Tennessee, and some of them, they believe that we're going to the concentration camp, and they're going to give our army to Russia and all that baloney.
The issue is, we live in an interdependent world. We have to cooperate with people. We're better off when we do.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go.
Which claim to have campaigned in 57 states?
Sarah Palin, I don't know.
57 states? Probably Sarah Palin.
I have no idea. 57 states. I have no idea.
I don't know. Is that Palin? 57. I don't know. Sarah Palin.
57 states. That's something Sarah Palin would say.
McCain.
I'd put that on Palin.
Okay. Which won their first election by getting their 3 opponents from their own party kicked off the ballot?
I don't know. That sounds like something Sarah Palin would do, but I don't know.
Sarah Palin?
Oh my God. I don't know. Who?
Obama.
Are you serious? Wow. Huh. Sarah Palin.
Oh, was that McCain?
I don't have a record of that.
That probably had to be McCain.
She had to quit a past presidential campaign because he was found to have plagiarized a speech.
Probably McCain. Wow. I don't know, but that's exciting. Who?
Joe Biden.
Are you serious? Don't know that one.
Which, no, I don't know.
It's just that it will bankrupt them because they're going to be charged a huge sum
which said that his policies would bankrupt the coal industry and make energy prices skyrocket?
I don't know.
Maybe Biden. He has a way of putting his foot in his mouth.
I heard that. I haven't really looked into that one, but it did make headlines.
Did you find that troubling?
I don't have a lot of trust in the media to know where that was coming from.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you heard about Bill Ayers?
Yes, but I don't know the details.